Before I begin wrapping, I always start with my intention, my kind of prayer of what this is helping me with, how it's serving me, bringing that, consciousness into my taking the time to do this. I began wrapping after the birth of my first son, and I guess it goes back a little longer than that. In my early 20s, I was with a long-term partner who was unfaithful, and from there I was diagnosed with stage 3 pre-cervical cancer cells that were metastasizing and growing at scary rates. And from that, my initial doctor that had shown me that recommended some really intense, strong procedures that I wasn't ready. Primarily, I wasn't ready to go on hormone therapy, which would have been a requirement of the procedures to essentially put me through menopause. After bringing this to my parents and deciding to take an alternative route, I really began a lot of, I had several minor procedures done to my cervix. And I took a very proactive, holistic approach to strengthening my cervix and my entire pelvic floor in hopes that I could have children when I was older. So I had been conditioning and strengthening and giving a lot of intention to my pelvic floor for almost a decade prior to my first birth. And I remember after my first birth, I tried some just pelvic floor vaginal awareness, and I was really weak. I was really, really weak. So, talked to my mom and said, my body's needing a lot more support. And that's when I learned about the Bengkung belly binding. And so I was around day 5 postpartum, and I said, Ma, you have to sew me up a bind. And at that point, we couldn't find anything that would arrive quick enough. And we had some fabric that was beautiful at hand, and she pieced together a securely sewn bind for me. And it was incredible, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the support. I felt like it helped me have some of my sexy back too after birth. I was so triumphant and proud of the experience, but my body felt ragged. And I felt that a bit of my beautiful had been lost, and the bind brought that back to me. And I wrapped for my first postpartum, and then I started wrapping for my cycle. And that transformation of wrapping for postpartum to wrapping for my monthly cycle brought the whole thing to a different heart space for me, of transformation of what my body has done, can do, presence, consciousness of the wrap process, what I hold in my mind, what I hold in my body while I do this. It's so much healing and love for myself. I don't know how else to explain it. And then we were graced with the surprise of our second son, and I wrapped for that postpartum, and now I am back to wrapping again for my cycle. And the relationship I have with the bind in the fabric and the process is personal and it's sacred. It's me taking the time for me and the realization of all the experiences that sometimes you can choose to not feel, not acknowledge. Maybe you even get to the point where it's just numbing, right? You get to that point of your parenting day where, wow, you know, it's a lot and it's overwhelming, and you're making choices that there's no manual, there's no frame of reference sometimes, and the wrap and the hug embodies that now, all of that for me. So the history that it holds, the meaning that it holds, it's really, really important. I feel nothing but gratitude for giving myself this practice, and honor for assisting other women that allow me to share in that experience with them. It's really raw and it's really real. And it's all around beautiful. Beautiful doesn't always have to be aesthetically beautiful. Beautiful also comes with the beauty of a challenge and adapting and transitioning from it, learning from it, growing from it. That's beautiful too. That's the bind.